cloud. Okay, good. Okay. All right. So everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask a few questions. Some of you guys, probably will be able to answer it. Which is good, right? That means is just tell us that people are paying attention. So what makes a test? Like forget about, okay, this is not even about like software engineering, software testing, nothing. Like how would you describe test? What is it? What is a test itself? Like what do you think a test is? Just test by itself. Like don't even worry about anything related to software. It could be anything, right? Somebody's testing you. What does that mean?
You can
That
get
is
some results.
check the functionality is working or not.
No, let's say, Rocky Bhai, I'm testing you. What would I test you for?
Okay.
Get the results.
It can be anything like a
Right.
personality test.
But before I test you, I have to know what I should be testing you on, right?
Joel, we should check the expected result with actual result.
Exactly. So I have to have some sort of expectation from you guys, right? If I'm testing, like I'm not even talking about software here, right? I'm talking about, let's say Rakib Bhai, he works as a accountant, right? He's an accountant and he's a well-known, and I need to do some important work. And I want to test him first to make sure that he's good, and then I can give him more work, right? So then first I would do my text file and I would expect certain return, right? Maybe some sort of good return compared to my last year, right? That's my expectation, right? So when you write a test case, or when you write a test script, so in this case, I'll just say case, right? So many of you guys wrote test script for last week homework, and some of you guys, and I will say majority of you guys got it right, is that missing the assertion. What is assertion? Assertion is basically when you have your expectation, when you expect something. So you did something, right? For example, step one, you visited the website, right?
I
Step
get you,
two,
Joel bhai.
mhm. Step two, you did some actions, right? You did some actions. And that could be like you filled out the form. That could be you clicked here and there. Maybe you created a new account on Facebook, right? Then third step, it should be your expectation. What are you expecting? If you created a new account, then you should be logged in, right? Because you just created the account. So it should by default log you in if you know how Facebook works. So you expecting to see that if you're logged in or not. So if you do with our automation, how would you determine what is considered as logged in? What would be considered that you would be consider yourself as a logged in, right? So on Facebook, let's see, I don't want to pull up my Facebook, but okay. So there are more than one ways, right? So if you look into your own Facebook, right, you will see there is more than a way you can verify that. What, as I remember, as a QA engineer, you have to make a determination. What is the assertion that you're making? Meaning, what is the check? What is your expectation? So you can say, you know what, if I see my name, right? My name is there, that then it must be my something that I logged in. But your name will be also there onto the registration form, right? So let's say you are in the registration form, right? One field says name and you enter your name, right? So I just enter my name, okay? And then for some reason, so when you did the action, meaning you entered all the required information and you click register, it didn't work. But then you're saying, okay, expect to see my name, right? Is that test going to pass or fail?
Pass.
Pass, right? Because the name is already there. This text belongs to that page, right? Already there. So it's going to pass. But then is is that something that you wanted it, right? Because you didn't do a valid test at this point, because now you didn't verify that is that registration works or not. At this time, registration, even if it doesn't work, then you still going to see the same result pass. Is going to be pass all the time. Okay. So what can you grasp? What can you say? You know what? If I see exactly this, you have to pinpoint and say, okay, exactly this, then I can consider that I have successfully logged in. So you have to see what is something that is not in the registration, but after you logged in already will be present, right? And then you assert for that. So that means you can say, you know what? I want to see that links, links with my friends, or I want to see my status. The text says what's on your mind, and there is a text field. So you want to look for that text field. And say, if you know what, if I see that text field, that means I am logged in, because that text field is specifically for people that logged in, right? And you should never show it to people that do not log in, because how are they gonna update their status if they're not logged in? So you can say along with your name, because you still want to make sure that you are the right person who logged in, but at the same time, you want to also look for that status box. You can look for other things. I'm just giving you an idea that, okay, status box could be something unique. You can also look for, let's say, on the header, inbox, there are icons for friends, how many friend requests you got, but then, you get the icon. Also, you can look for the log out button, because if you are logged in, then only then you will see log out link. Okay. So that is another common way that you check to make sure that you are actually logged into a page. All right, okay, so that's one. Then another recommendation, and this is coming from experience, guys. When you write your automated test, so many of you guys wrote the automated test without having to write any code, right? That's the last week. And we wanted people to get comfortable with that, because that's the way you will be able to at least understand how automation works to begin with, right? We're going to soon start learning how to write those automated tests using code. And we're going to move away from the Selenium IDE pretty soon. So the first thing first, right, as an automation engineer, somebody who I would say the best practice of automation, right, would be anytime you land on a page. So let me go back to Student Calculator. So I know many of you guys automated this Student Calculator, or maybe this one. Let's see. Yep. Okay, this is one of the websites that I saw that people automated more. So one of the best practice is that when you automate something, you just directly come to if you directly come to this field and you start saying, okay, first I want to enter this value and then continue. The problem you're going to face is that your test is going to fail every now and then. It's not going to fail all the time. Okay. You'll see, like, you run one day, your test is good. You run another day, your test is not good, right? Your test is upset all the time. And that is something we call, in our world, we call flaky. Okay. This is called flaky test. Okay. And one of the reasons why you have flaky test is because you are not really checking to make sure where you are. You want to make sure exactly where you are before doing anything at all, right? So you land on this page. The first thing you want to make sure that you are on the right page. If you're going to enter information into loan amount, and this is supposed to be for Student Calculator, then you want to do an assertion first, or you want to wait for something, right? So you can say, you know what, I will do assertion, right? I will check if this text is there. That's the first thing I want to check. Okay, that will give me the confirmation that I'm on the right page before I can go ahead and do this. Okay, before I can go ahead and enter information here. So now let's say this text takes that 1 split second to wait. Let's see how it's taking milliseconds to display. Previously, your test will fail because that milliseconds that is taking, your Selenium is already trying to enter information here, even though it didn't load. Okay. But now that you're waiting for this, it will wait up to 30 seconds. So by default, it will wait up to 30 seconds, meaning it will not wait like 30 seconds straight. Otherwise, it'll be very long time for a lot of tests if you have a lot of tests, right? So it will wait up to 30 seconds. If it needs 0.1 millisecond, right, then it will wait 1 milliseconds, right? 0.1 milliseconds. It doesn't matter how small the number is. It will only wait as much as it needs, and that is called implicit wait. Okay, so that is implicit wait, and we'll talk about weights and everything later, right? So implicit wait is built in within the framework. So if you're using Selenium IDE, that is already within somebody who built the IDE, right? So you don't have to do anything about it. But you can also apply the weight yourself, right? You can apply specifically, say, you know what, I don't want to type anything unless this field is present and ready. Okay, so in Selenium IDE, you do have options to say, you know what, this field needs to be enabled before I can do anything, and that makes your test more immune to this flaky failure situation. Okay, so far you guys understood what's right? Because it's not about like, okay, you know what, I wrote some tests and done. It's about, remember, why you writing your automated test in the first place? Why are you writing your automated tests? Who wants to answer this? Why are you writing automated tests? You could manually test this, right? You can manually just go enter information and then calculate, and you can see if it's working, and then that's it, right? Why are you even automating? Why are you
Yeah,
doing?
to save the time and save from the human error.
But you're not saving time, because remember, when you do automation first, you're spending extra time. You're testing and then you're writing your automated tests. So how's that the first argument is true?
Next time, when we do the couple of time during the project, then it will be save time.
To generate the log.
Right. That's the correct answer. Repeatability, right? When you have repeated.
Yeah,
So
that's why the whole the project times we need many times. It is
one of the biggest reason why we do automation is not because, okay, we want to save from human errors, or we want to, that is true. But the biggest reasons is because it saves time by having to execute this test, repeated tests, meaning these tests we're running every week or something, or these tests we're running every 2 weeks. So because it's repeating every 2 weeks and we have to do this over and over again, it just saves us a lot of time, right? So, and that's one of the biggest reasons. There are many other reasons why we automate, but that's one of the biggest reasons, I would say, why we automate in the first place. So again, like, just to summarize what's happening, when you land on a page, you want to verify that you are on the right page before you do anything else. Okay, that will save you from flakiness. And then you want to make sure that you have some sort of assertion. So when you automate, I want you to already write down what you are validating, not like find out later, okay, you know what, this information showed up, so I want to validate this. No, I want you to play with it before automating. I want you to look at it and say, you know what, if I enter this value, that this value must be aligned with all of these attributes here, right? All of these values, it should be calculated based on these values, right? And then you say, you know what, it should also show interest, it should also show the paid information. So you have to already choose, like when you automate, this is what I want you to do, already make a mindset that what you're going to validate, because it's not going to be easy. And then at the end, you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to do whatever is easy, right? So you never challenge yourself. So if you already know what you're going to automate and it's going to be hard, then you will kind of find your ways to automate that. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to follow these steps, and then maybe at the end, I'm going to see what can be, asserted, then, then you'll find the easy one. Like everybody, we're human, right? We always want the easy ones. All right, with that said, now I'm gonna just ask you a question from last class, and that is just to see how far you are and how you guys learn. Guys, so what is a comment? And again, like one by one, everybody's gonna get their chance, but what is a comment in programming language?
is for a comment of a coding what we are doing, just for a reference.
So for later use, who else want to answer before I go ahead and
Isn't it like just taking notes, but in the code? So that's whatever you write in a comment is not going to be run with the rest of everything else that you're writing, right?
Okay.
It's like just taking notes inside of the code.
Right. So that is the proper answer. You know, you are taking notes, and not for yourself. You're basically not only for yourself. You're writing these notes for your teammates. So if they are in the future, they using your code, or maybe they want to touch your code and make it better, or even like they want to um, make their piece work with your code, then they will read and understand what it is that you did, why you did it, and then they will make appropriate changes. So it helps on saving time, but also it makes the code look much better in terms of like what it is. And you know, sometimes I see people writing comment with dates and names that shows how old that specific code is. And you know, many companies that implement that such this ways, because if this is important, for example, somebody built in plugin for the application and they have entered the date, then they will know exactly how old that piece of code is and they need to update or not update. All right. And also it helps because every time people change the libraries, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. So when you change the libraries, they will also need to make changes to the code, because when the newer version of library comes, there are newer methods. So the dates helps to show that what are the older method and needs to be changed. Okay, so let's talk about some sort of, okay. We talk about comment. Who knows what variable is? And I want a technical answer. If you don't have a technical answer, don't unmute yourself. So what is a variable?
Like string, I forgot the technical of what they stand for. Like when it comes to like what do they do inside of Java, but it's pretty much char, string, like Boolean. I'm forgetting a very simple one off the top of my head, but those, right?
No, these are data types, right? You're describing data type.
Oh yeah, bro.
Data container,
Jalva, it's like container.
data container.
Data container variable.
Where was the name of the memory location?
No, I'm just saying, like, what is a variable? Some of you guys are on the right path. So one at a time.
Variable or container for storing data values.
Okay. All right. Saying exactly how where you guys learned from last time. So I memorized that. Okay. So unmute some of you guys because I can hear myself. Okay, cool. All right, that's awesome. The variable is basically, it's a, think about a bucket, right? You put the information there, you can store stuff, and it doesn't have to be just, storing some sort of text, but also it could be different, like for example, you can have also data structure stored, but not only just data types and different data, but also you can have an array of amount of information, like you can have just more than one, not just one particular information. The purpose of that is that later you want to be able to use that information, right? So you name it, you put it, you label it, and you just put it to the side. And then later you want to use that to do something for your program. And this is one of the question, believe it or not, they ask on the developer, right? So we also do hiring for developers, right? So the last from the last batch and total, I would say like 3 weeks ago, right? So we got hiring, at least 7 people got hired, and everybody started as a junior Java developer, right? And the interview question, the first interview question, they're going to say, what is a Java, what is a variable in programming? They don't even say Java. They want to know exactly what you understand. And because you're starting as a junior, they will ask this basic, very basic questions to see what is, if you're familiar with the fundamentals before even jumping into big programming questions. All right. So, and somebody just mentioned data types, right? In Java. How many people remember? Okay, so let's talk about how many people don't know what data types is, and you can be honest.
Can you review it again?
Okay, so if you guys want me to review, I can review. That's not a problem. What I had in mind for today's class is to be going a little bit more further, like meaning setting up IntelliJ and then doing some Selenium, actual Selenium work, while showing you guys the some of the programming fundamentals. But okay, so it's good to spend more time onto the basics, is because it definitely helps with the fundamentals, and then we can move forward with the advanced classes. People still, some of you guys, and I'm giving you guys advice before we go into what we are going to today's agenda, right? If you feel like you know the basic stuff and you can't learn it, then the feature class you're going to be blinded, right? And then what's going to happen is that you're probably going to think about, okay, you know what, I missed so many classes, or you're probably going to miss the classes because you don't feel like, you know, you don't enjoy anymore. Everything you have to enjoy, right? If you make it fun, then you'll love the process, right? And the only way you can love this process if you do your homework, because that's a sense of accomplishment to yourself that validates that you can do the work. And that's also gives us some sort of confirmation that yes, these guys are learning and we can move forward to the next upcoming, advanced sort of classes, right? But if you don't really understand and don't do anything about it, so if you don't understand, you did the homework, then just spend some more time. And you know, the other thing is that don't do it last minute. Don't do it last minute. You know what last minute people tells me is because you didn't have the entire week to spend some time, but then you spend it at the last minute to do it, and it never comes out right. Based on experience, it never comes out right because you're rushing. And that tells me that you're going to be behind, right? Because you didn't learn anything. You last minute, you finished somehow, and now you're going with everybody else. And sooner or later you'll be pretty much blocked by yourself, right? Meaning advanced classes, you can't even do it last minute anymore because it requires more and more time. So like I said, guys, enjoy the process. It's only 3 months. Do as much as you can. And hopefully majority of you guys will be at the end. We will be able to place you guys for jobs. Again, job placement sometimes may or may not need an interview, right? Meaning like this is only with us, right? You will get a job maybe without an interview, or you will get a job with an interview. And that is one of the reasons why you are here. We're not going to just teach you guys something and then say, okay, we can't help you with jobs. There are people out there I've seen on Facebook, because on Facebook we posted ads, and some people are saying, they spent, $10, $15, $20,000 over the years, and at the end they learn something, but they can't really get a job. To those people, I did tell them, hey, you know what, come to me, and I'm not going to charge you a penny if you can pass my, like, let's say mock interview, and then I'll get you a job, and you just pay me after. Similarly, again, one of the reason is because we are able to give people a job. We're not sitting here and be pretty much teaching you guys basics and thinking that, okay, you know what, maybe you guys will get a job, or maybe you guys will get a job yourself. No, if we didn't have the skill set of marketing, if we didn't have the ability of presenting you out there and be able to place you on a job, then we wouldn't do this, because this is, trust me, Mishantabhai and I both have a full-time job, and we wouldn't basically dedicate ourselves to train some of you guys if we didn't know how to place people, right? So you will, I'm confirming with you guys, you will get a job, and you can take my word, as long as you are keeping up with the work, right? Again, when you guys come to me, because I do the marketing, and then I also have partners out there that do the marketing. So we have 2 Indian companies that also are partners with us. And when they say, okay, this guy's ready, I have to make sure that you're ready, right? I can't just say, okay, yeah, this person, like for example, let's say Faisal, and I'm placing Faisal. I'm saying, okay, can you just get Faisal a job? The first thing they're going to ask me, okay, is he ready? Then I'm going to ask Shantabai, and then we're going to do our assessment. If you're not ready, what's going to happen is you get the job, you're excited, and you're going to get fired the next week, right? Or the week after. Or what's going to happen is that you're going to ask us to help you, and it's going to be smaller things. It's not going to be significant things. Like, for example, that you're going to ask, okay, how do I write some code? And where do I start? We don't know where to help you because you didn't do anything, right? So that's why, like I said, enjoy the process. And at the end of 3 months, you will be placed and you will be getting jobs. If you guys know any of the people that got job from the last batch, just simply talk to, if you're from one of those, then just simply talk to them. They will definitely tell you, what needs to be done. All right. With that said, you guys, let's talk about Java, basic Java, right? And I want to introduce you guys to something, and I'm going to give you guys this is going to be a long homework, but I know that somebody recently finished that in 2 days. So I'm going to get started today with that, and this is going to give you guys understanding of more basic Java. And I know very few of you guys here that already knows how to maybe like the basics of Java and stuff. Just do it again. Trust me, just do it again. You will be better than everybody else. But if you feel like this is too basic, then like I said, just keep it to yourself. Do it again. We're gonna be fine. When we go on to advanced, I will know exactly who is ahead, and we usually pull people that is ahead of everybody else, and we place them before. So sometimes we do get jobs where we feel like, this person is ahead of us and ahead of everybody else, so we're going to place him first, right? It's based on performance anyway, right? So we're not doing favors to nobody. Okay, so I know you guys did yesterday W3 schools. W3 schools is basically used by companies that are even like somebody who was working, they will use that as a reference, right? This is like a reference book for a lot of developers out there. But what we're going to go today is going to be Codecademy. And the reason why we want to be here, and I'll tell you what to do, is because we want to take advantage of their one of their free exercise. And this is let's see. All right, let me quickly go ahead and log in to give you guys some idea what we are trying to. Okay, so I'm logged in, and I would expect everybody to be logged in at some point. And oh well, let's change password. Goodness. Okay, gotta change to something. Okay, so it's changed. So this is gonna be again like homework, but we're gonna do it. Initially, we're gonna do it as much as we can for the day, and then we're gonna move forward with completing that as a homework later on. Okay, so if you click on first thing first, if you click on Learn Java, right, and you do it through, if you click on Catalog after logging in, and you click on Start. Oh, it logged me out in 1 second. And the next class, we're gonna strictly go directly into, we're directly going into the Selenium and Java. So we're gonna use Selenium WebDriver. We're gonna start writing code. So this is very important for me to make sure that you guys have enough time to learn what Java is. Okay, resume learning. Okay, so I'm gonna explain there is 3 parts of this, right? And again, nobody's paying for anything here, right? So you're coming in and you log in and you go to the Java, right? And once you do the login, you do get yourself percentage of the work done. So I'll tell you how much percentage I need for this week, and how much percentage actually we can finish today. And then you'll definitely get the idea on how to do this. So on the left side, you have the lesson, right? On the left side, it explains what this is meaning. Like some code snippets are here, right? What is the meaning of this on the left side? By the way, if somebody is familiar with this website, then this is going to be easy for you. But on the left side, you do see what it is that the lesson that you need to learn. For example, system is a built class that contains useful tools, right? And then out is short for output, right? And then println is short for print line, right? So there is difference between print and print line, and we'll talk about that in the later section of the same class, right? And we can use system.out.println in Java to print what? To print anything, actually, right? So we can print variables, we can print a string. So how many people know what is a string? We can see a string right here. So what is a string? Can you define a string?
Anything in double quotation?
Yeah. So anything in double quotation. So that could be meaning that it's alphanumeric, it has special character, it has, pretty much anything that you can see on your keyboard, as long as it is within the double quotation. Okay. All right. So here we just do a simple reading to make sure that we understand what it is that we are looking at. Once we read this, then the next thing we have to do is looking at the instruction, right? So we look at this instruction. It says inside the main, okay? Inside the main. What is the main? Okay, somebody tell me what is going to be inside of main function here, right? Is it between 2 to 6, or is it between 3 to 5, or is it between like 1 to 7? What's inside of the main, right? So it says inside of the main, underneath the print statement, enter this, right? So what is inside of the main here? What is the main function and what's inside? Anybody wants to? And I'm only asking for people that
2 to 6. 2 to 6.
2 to 6 is inside, right? This is where it begins. Okay, if this is your main function, right? Or this is your main, then it starts from here, right? You see? And it ends right here. So typically when you use IntelliJ and you click on the curly brace, it will tell you where it finishes. So your Java program needs to be written inside of this in order for you to see execution, right? It will not execute unless you don't put it inside of this. So don't come and put it here unless that's a variable or something. Outside of the main, it doesn't execute. So you can definitely put things outside that is maybe like a variable or other configuration stuff. Okay, so let's do the first one, instruction. It says inside main and underneath the print statement system.out, we have to put this, right? Let's play and hide a 6. So it's already there, so I'm not gonna just leave it there. Output the following statement using system.out.print, right? Only print, okay? So let's see if this is println. Okay, so we're gonna do that with print. So that's the first thing, and I'm going to run it. And output this, sorry, this information right here. So we have to read the instruction. That's the first thing it says, and then also this. So we do the 2 also. Okay, so 2 and 3. What have you seen different right now? What was the whole reason why we did this, right? Is because as you can see the output right here on the right side, it's combined the 2 statement. Okay, it combined both of this string. So if you do print, right? If you use print instead of println, it doesn't create a new line. It do not put it in top of each other, right? So that is the lesson here, right? The lesson is that if you use print, you're not putting it with a new line. It doesn't have a new line, right? It just combines. Okay. So that's one. The second is underneath your previous statement, right? Output the following two text value using system out println. So the good thing about this is that we are directly typing it here. We're not in IntelliJ right now for a reason, is because we're not ready for it. Most of you guys are not ready for it. And some of you guys are ready, very few. And we're gonna just ask you guys to just bear with us until we are to that point where we can do a little bit more advanced, okay? So the first one is 1 and the second one is ready or not, I'm coming, right? So we're gonna go ahead and I'm doing a lot of copy pasting. You guys should probably type it in just for the good measure so you can learn. Okay. And as you can see that we got the println, right? It didn't really combine, right? It didn't really put it up here, right? As you can see, it put it into a new line. Okay. So that was the whole part of pretty much the entire lesson. So if you go ahead and read and you can say, look, you got println and you got print. What is the difference between them? One that prints with new line and the other one is not. So notice that print and println, not println, unlike the println, these types print statement output everything on the same line. Okay, so print will put everything on the same lines. And for example, this, right? Now print and println, we're gonna probably mostly use println all the time, but you will have use cases for print time to time. You're gonna say, okay, you know what, I want to do print instead of println, and that is, now you know the difference between them, so you can use them as needed, right? And that's the idea of learning a programming, right? Learning programming is basically you learn methods like this, what they do, and then later you basically apply this method to your code to do something. Okay. So I'm gonna go click on next and see what is that we need to learn. And the next looks like commenting code, right? So commenting code, writing code is pretty much exciting, right? And this is just basically saying like how, so some of you guys are, I'm sure, is excited, but I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm just gonna summarize it to make sure that you guys understand. So here we're supposed to learn single line and double multi-line commenting, right? Single line is basically when we use double slash, and multi-line is when you use slash star and then star slash, right? Both of them have their own use, right? So when you do single line is because you maybe don't need more than one line, then yeah, this is fine, okay? But when you, let's say, have a paragraph to be written, right? So let's say you wrote a program that is, you know, a page worth, and you want to write a lot of information why you did such a thing, and it's going to be at least 4 to 5 lines in explaining, then you basically just write a multi-line comment instead of saying every line have this. That looks ugly, right? And that also looks like a programmer who doesn't know how to write a multi-line comment, right? So if we go right to the exercise, right, the first thing, first instruction, it says that timeline.java, which is, this is the class name, right, has plain text information about Java, right? Plain text facts are invalid syntax, so we'll use comment to avoid, right? So so here there are some plain text that we need to use comment to avoid them. If you run it right now, what would you see is that you're going to see a lot of exceptions, right? These are, exception is basically error, anything that prevents your code to fully execute, right? Now these errors is happening, and it says, look, error, something is expected. This is end of line expected. So how is it going to be end of line when you have a line that doesn't even translatable to the machine, right? This is not translatable because it's not code, right? So the first exercise we want to do, we want to put single line. And the second one we want to do multi-line commenting to make sure that we are at least making our code more executable, right? So notice how we do our multi-line. So up slash this, and now you see everything else grayed out. And when we do, oh, keep typing. Okay, oops. There we go. All right. So that is a multi-line comment. Any questions so far? Or this is more easier, right? I know we're pretty much at this point, we're treating you guys like, you know, pretty much don't know much. Like in the beginning, it's just learning how to comment.
Joel, I have a question.
Mhm. Go for it.
Can you put a slash and the star front of the James?
Front of James right here.
Yeah, easier now in the line 11.
Oh, right here. Yeah, you can. But like, how do you? Okay, so think about this way. In Java, I mean, we're gonna learn in about a few seconds. These are called white spaces, right? This is white space, and this is white space, and also like anything after that is also white space. We use white spaces in Java because that is not a program and it doesn't execute. Those white spaces do not execute, right? And we use them to make our code look nicer and easier to read, right? So if I go ahead and do it like this, right? And if this is, you know, the norm of your team, meaning like your team members, you notice that they also did it this way. They put a single space, and then they wrote their comment, then you do that, or you going with the flow, right? You don't break the norms of the coding standard, right? So every company or every team has their own standard, and somebody early on in the project, they define the standard. So you look at it and you just follow it, because otherwise you're gonna raise questions like, why would you, like, for example, you just mentioned, right? If I do it like this, right? You know, does it look good? Like, I don't think so. You know, it looks like it's part of the code, the writing, right? You're gonna say /star James, right? So, so you have to determine like whether you wanna follow the norms and coding standard that your team is following. And that's why instead of asking a lot of questions, you can look at their code and read and say, you know what, I'm gonna do very similar to what this other person did. So you're just going with the flow, right? So here you can choose to put a space, you can choose not to put a space, and you can also choose to put it right in front of James and still will work. But the problem is you are making it look like, you know, it's part of the text itself, okay? So it's gonna be confusing for your teams. All right, so now if I run this, it should not have any problems, right? So as you can see, hello Java and everything else has been printed in a very nice way. Notice like this has not been printed and this is not been printed. Why is that? Is because these two section of this class did not contain code, or they're not code, they're just comments, okay? So now you guys learned what is a multi-line and what is a single line comment. So let's move on to the next part of this specific lesson. It says in our program, this is still broken, right? Is because use multi-line syntax to make this line single, use multi-line syntax to make this line into a single line comment. And you should see that you are a fun language, okay? So boom, okay, we did this already. Okay, I'm gonna run it one more time. Okay, there we go, yeah. So just because we skipped, we were supposed to do the first section and the second, because that's that they're expecting somebody who designed this course. But we did this already, so we're just gonna run it and it will make it green. So make sure you see the green before you continue. All right, the next part is white space. We just talked about it, right? Semicolon and white space in Java programming, right? Trust me, a lot of people still probably have a question like, what is the semicolon is doing here? Like, why are we putting every time? And what is the white space, right? Why can't we write everything in one line and pretty much have a paragraph, right? So the important portion of that is that we write the code so that way other people can easily read. And we talked about that numbers of time already. And your coworkers or your teammates that you work with, they should be able to read your code and it should be clear, right? It should be pretty much readable for everybody. And that is one of the reasons why we use white space, okay? And then we're talking about the semicolon. Semicolon is basically in Java, we are using semicolon to end of statement. So you're saying my statement is over here, right? It's done. So how many people look at this code and tell me if there's anything wrong with the code? I'm not asking you how it looks. Just tell me if there's anything wrong.
Yeah, because all this comment is in the same paragraph. It looks like a paragraph. So you have to.
So there is no comment. And remember, we have line 1, end of statement, line 2, and oh, I'm just messing it up. Okay. And then line 2, end of statement, and then line 3, end of statement. I don't see anything wrong with the code. Do you? Okay, so how many people will think that this is gonna run versus this is gonna throw exception? How many people thinks that this will throw exception?
I think this will run, Julian.
This will run. Okay,
This
but
will run, yeah.
anybody here disagrees?
Yeah, Jovan. No, this will not run.
This will not run.
No,
Okay.
this will not run.
This is run, I think.
Okay, so
It
so
will
there are
run.
few people. There is few people saying not gonna run. So explain. If you yeah.
So there's no bracket if you see in the beginning with the first system out printed
Mm-hmm.
println there is no bracket
Wait.
to open command.
So this is your okay. So system out println, that's a complete right command because the println
Mhm.
has the bracket starting here and ending here, right? So that's to me is completed, right? Then they also have end of statement. And then the second one, very similar. Third one is very similar. Okay. So the answer here is that, okay, that's good that you came up with a different answer, right? Because that's good for me to say, okay, you know what, this lesson has a value to everybody. Meaning you're learning something new. And what's happening is that here the code is good, right? If you run it, it will not throw an exception, as you can see. It's good to go, okay? It's printing, it doesn't have any exception. How does an exception look like in Java? If you're using IntelliJ or Eclipse, you're going to see red, okay? You're going to see red text saying this and that, okay? It will tell you the exceptions. So as a programmer, when you see exception, do you panic and you call the IT guys, or do you just read, right? So as a programmer, we don't have IT guys to help you with our own program that we're trying to create. We're gonna have to read the exception, and then we want to determine where we made a mistake. It will always contain at least some information such as line number or at least method name or something, so that way we know exactly what part of the code has this issue. So just keep that in mind. So this code has nothing wrong with it. It's running fine. Now, what is wrong with that is that it's all cramped up into one single, paragraph. And that's where the white space lesson comes in, right? Semicolon is end of statement and is already there. So if I remove a semicolon now, anybody think is gonna throw an exception or is not gonna throw an exception?
Yes, it's now throw an exception.
No.
Now it will throw an exception because you're saying like these two lines are in one line. Okay, sorry, this two is a single statement. That's what you're saying to your machine to say, okay, you know what, execute these two as one, and that's where you're gonna have the problem, right? Now, when I put this back on, it's single by itself. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna apply a white space right between them, and I apply 2 white spaces. The code looks pretty good right now. It looks easier for anybody to read. And that's what we wanted it, right?
Julbhai,
Mhm.
What's the difference in println and print?
The print is when you want to print something in the same line. Okay, so you have 3 statements. If you do print, all of them will be printing in the same line. Okay, but okay, let me show you how that looks. Okay, you see how the 3 different lines, and go ahead and run it. As you can see, the whole thing is being printed into okay, but where is the semicolon that I missed? Main method. Okay, this is Java is a class base. Okay, so something is, okay, let me just refresh my page. So sometime when you see some issue like this, look, I'm not missing a semicolon. When you see something like this, that means the browser itself is probably glitching. So just go ahead and refresh and it should be back to normal. Ooh. Okay, but the other thing that I will also mention, because this course was designed, you cannot type like a full-fledged Java program, like different something other than expected. If it's not expected, and you type that, it's not going to work into this specific lesson, right? It's because they only put things that will work for the purpose of learning. So just keep that in mind. What was supposed to happen if you remove ln, and we're going to learn that. We're going to basically, when we go into Eclipse and start writing programs, then you'll be able to write full-fledged, Java without having to worry about what can I write here, right at this point. So now, println, you see now it prints statement with a new line. Okay, this is print statement, and then a new line started with the second statement and third with the third statement. Print itself would print everything combined, okay, in the single line, even if you have 3 different lines. Okay, so now for these lessons, we are also putting a single line in between, and go ahead and run this. So starting with, okay, so we got to read this, right? So language file, blah, blah. Okay, so the code, white space. So we added the code, white space. Then the second is inside of main, add a new statement, printing how you feel about coding. Okay, so we're going to add a new statement here. And we're going to write system, and I'm not going to copy paste for this one. Dot out. Because I'm looking at the screen so closely, and I'm looking at my keyboard every now and then. It's sometimes harder for me to. Okay, so programming is, so you're gonna say programming is fun, right? Fun. And that's it. That's what you wanted to print, and go ahead and, oh, and guess what? Right?
You input semicolon.
Exactly. So that's it. So at least you catch that. That's the important thing here. All right. So we are able to finish both of the exercise, but we learned our lesson, right? We learned semicolon and white space. Okay. So far, so good. Right? We're not going 20 miles an hour here. Okay. Catching errors, right? So now the next thing is exception. And this is where a lot of you guys make mistakes, okay? And over the years, or at least my understanding of many people that are out there and become QA engineer, right? Somehow they're able to write some code, somehow they're able to write some automation. But then when it comes about dealing with exception, meaning when you write some code, you will have exceptions, and that's going to be all the time. You're going to find 20 exceptions, and then you will need to know how to, where you made the mistakes, how you fix it. Exception is your friend, right? And you want to make sure that you use that to make sure that you're fixing whatever the problem is. So now in Java, compiled programming language. Java is it's not a non-compiled programming language, right? So that means the code we write in Java file is transformed into a bytecode by something called JVM, okay? And Java Virtual Machine. And by a compiler, before it's executed by Java, oh, there you go, Java Virtual Machine on your computer. So that makes Java platform independent, because if it's converted into a bytecode to a native, machine code, then it's basically saying that, okay, this program can run on any platform, right? This program can run on any of the machines. A compiler is a program that translate human-friendly programming. So everything that we're writing here is human-friendly, right? For example, we know what println means, and we can use it. So it is human friendly. The way the programming language has been designed is because it's for the human, so we can understand on how to write program. Okay. Otherwise, it would be like ones and zeros, right? That is going to be significantly harder for you to write coding, right? Because that's essentially what they understand. The machines only understands ones and zeros. We write our program and it compiles it by JVM, and after that, it converts that into the native machine code, which is ones and zeros, and that's how Java architecturally runs, right? So just keep that in mind. Java is a platform independent language, and it can run on any platform when you write your code. All right, so now let's see what else do we have to learn here. Okay, I just summarized the whole thing here. Okay, so a successful compilation process is basically .class file, and this is how it will compile, and that will be executed in the terminal command. And then similarly, we got ourselves Java Plankton, an unsuccessful completion process a list of error, and no .class file is made until the error are corrected. So nothing will be, remember, it's if you have like 20 classes and you have one issue and compile did not take place, then nothing has been run. It's not going to run partial code. The whole thing needs to be compiled before it can run. So you have one problem into one. So you have a problem here, and now it will not run anything else. It doesn't even compile to run and say if it's good or bad. Okay. All right, so let's do the instruction. Any question about that? What I just mentioned is pretty important. How Java works. Okay, so it looks like no questions. Let's practice the compiling part. And so in here, the instruction is on our text editor contains a broken program, so we can see how a compiler is catching mistakes.
Jewel bhai,
Mhm.
once we have the JDK installed, we will have the JVM automatically inside, right?
Right. That should be, yeah, because that's Java Development Kit. It should contain, when you download from Oracle, I think there is a way to just do it only the JDK without the JVM, but I think when you download it, it should comes with it. But when you download it, you definitely, so JDK download, you should see, because they do change the way things are. So if you go to Oracle, and you do download right now, everything is in a package, so you should be fine. Yeah, that does come with it. As you can see, before you would be able to choose, like I'm talking about a couple of years ago, but they changed the way things are right now with Java 15.
Thanks.
Okay. So now they said there is a problem. If somebody can spot the problem, that would be good. If you don't,
Yeah,
then
line number 6 doesn't have any semicolon end of that.
okay, good. So now the whole thing, we're learning about how Java program compiles, right? Remember, like just because line number 6 has compile issue, like or issues, line number 4, 5 is not going to compile, right? It doesn't partially take, it needs to take everything for compiling. So if I go ahead and run this, then it should, so okay, let's do the way you run your Java into like command line, or basically on a bash. So if you have a Mac, you will be able to follow this, right? So you use this command Java C, and then how do you execute like Java program in bash or in command line? If you have Windows in command lines, you're basically using Java C command, and then you have to provide the name of the what? What is this?
Package.
Name of the what? This is package. If you look at
Is the
here,
name
what does it say?
This is a class.
Class, right? So that is a class. So you are providing the class name with Java C and it should execute. And there we go. So now you have this compiling error. So if you see this compiling error, then you know that you made mistake somewhere and you got to go and fix it. So in this case, it's nice enough to tell you exactly what you missed. You're missing is expected a end of statement by using a semicolon. And that's something that you're missing here. And it also tells you exactly which line is actually printing it out for you. And so again, what is the thing? Let's say you have two other classes somewhere in the same package, and you have an issue here. Will those other two packages compile? Or it will throw error?
It will not compile, it's error.
Right, because remember, it doesn't even, how is it going to convert everything into, bytecode, right? If there is in one, and this is one of the reason, like Java, okay, this is one, okay, so let's say, compared to other languages, right? This is one of the good thing and bad thing, right? The reason I said good thing and bad thing is because it has a pros and cons. Pros is because if you have a larger project, meaning you have lines and lines and lines of code, then immediately you will know if somebody makes a mistake. It will not be buried under something, right? You will see somebody made a mistake, nothing is running, and it will need to be fixed. The other problem, the con to that part is that if somebody make a small mistake, the whole entire site is going to be down. Okay, if they push their code, but I don't know why would they push their code, right? So if they see this compiling issue, then they shouldn't even push their code to the server. So for a larger project, it is very useful because somebody makes a mistake, it will, raise that right away. There is no doubt about that. But then the other thing is that you will see issues, like you'll always see compiling issue for the line. And even if you're like, let's say, writing something on your class and maybe these two lines is not complete yet and you're trying to make sure these two lines is working, you'll still see this compiling issue. Compared to the other language like Ruby, Python, those, if you make a mistake, it will stick with the class or it will stick with the method. Unless that specific piece of code is running, you're not going to see that issue. So yeah, that has a pros and cons. Pros is basically you can continue and continue to write your code and it will not put everything down if something is wrong. But it has more cons, which is, a lot of opportunity to make mistakes, right? A lot of opportunity to make mistakes and pushing the code. All right, so that is one of the fact that I wanted to point out to you guys. Okay, so once I did this, in Bash, if you click your up arrow, like here is not going to work because this is not a real Bash, right? This is just simulating. Everything is simulating here. So if you click your up arrow from your keyboard, this command should basically be pasted here automatically, so you don't have to type it again and again. Okay. Now I'm going to fix this line, and that's what it's probably asking for the first lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and execute that and see if that finishes. Control C, Control V. Okay, and looks like what's happening here. Now did I? Okay, so it says check work, and I'm gonna go ahead and click it, and the first section of the lesson is done. Okay. Did you see the error? We just talked about the error, how the compilation error is happening. In the terminal, if we do ls, so if you are somebody with Mac and you do ls is supposed to show you list of files available into that specific directory. So this is your directory. If you do pwd, it will show you exactly where you are. And then within this file, you're supposed to see all of the files. Within this folder, you're supposed to see all of these files by doing ls. Okay, so it has two files, compiling class and compiling.java. Okay. Okay, so then we go into the next, right? Once we did the ls command, it gives us all of the files. So there is only one file called compiling.java. We did not successfully compile the file because of the error. Click check work button and move on, right, at this point. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we just finished that specific lesson and we're gonna go ahead and continue. Okay. Then we are talking about the, again, compilation for creating executable. Here as a, again, this is the way that we do it, is this is just a reminder. We did this like early on, previous section, and then we can execute also with this command Java and then putting the class name, right? You don't have to put the, we don't have to put the extension of that, you know, specific class. Note that we leave off .class part because of the file name for this specific command. So you got two commands, javac and Java. Okay. So all right, so now we have one file, blah blah blah. Okay, so we got the one welcome file. We will like we compile with the command javac, right? So this is the first thing. That is just an example they're giving you as a welcome. And then we do the same thing. We can execute the same class without having to have the extension as long as you change the command. So you got one command is javac and the other one is Java. Any question on how to execute at this point? So because like when you write your code, you can literally write this on your notepad as long as you have JDK installed on your computer, and then you can execute through your command line. Okay. So that is the lesson here. So we can go ahead and do ls here and see what it is. We got compiling the Java, and then after that, we want to do compile file from this terminal. So remember javac, we can do javac and then this, and that should compile. That's the first, and okay, and done, and then enter again, and then we're gonna do okay, let's do ls, and now we got the, so you see how compiled, and let me just go check work and see what we're missing. Okay, so we did the number 2. Number 3 is enter ls again and see the new class, run the executable file from the terminal. Okay, so then we're gonna do Java and then just compiling. Okay, we don't need to do this. Boom, and it executed, and now we can move on. Okay. So you guys know the difference. We got 2 different commands that we can use to execute our Java program, and it's something that we will probably, once we get into the IntelliJ, we're going to be able to do this. But this is one of the we got 30 minutes, and today we're going to finish exactly on time. But think about this way. This is my homework for you guys, right? And it's going to be sound like a lot because I know Shantabai is giving you guys homework, but I would like to see percentage on. So, okay, let's go back. I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to show that how much percentage that I finished. So far, we were able to finish, what? How come it doesn't show percentage? Okay.
0.
Yeah. Okay. 0%. Okay, because we didn't even finish the first portion. We're still stuck into the introduction. So once we finish this, you can see 8 of 8. Once we finish this one, it should show at least like some percentage that we finished. So what that means is that this is not gonna be something like, okay, click, 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 and done. The percentage will only come if you really understand, right? You got your entire week to go ahead and complete this, because this is going to be a little bit of challenging for you guys, but the next time when you come in, we're going to be able to freely write code, and we're not going to ask each other a question like what is a variable, okay, or what is a class, or what is public, what is private, what are access modifiers, you know, what is method overloading, method overriding. So these are the things that we don't have to ask because you finish this and the percentage will actually tell me that you are, finished. Now, if you want to cheat, right, on this, there is a way to cheat, and I'm not gonna disclose how to cheat it to finish and go into the next thing. But remember, if if you learn it the right way, the next classes, like upcoming classes, is gonna be, trust me, it's gonna be enjoyable. You'll enjoy. Like one of the things that I keep saying is that you need to be able to enjoy what you're doing, and then programming becomes more fun when you know what they are, right? What it is that you're programming with. So that's why Shantabai touched the very basic yesterday, and I am doing the same thing. My agenda was to show you guys Selenium WebDriver with writing some code, right? But I don't think you guys, at least most of you guys, are not quite ready to do this. So it's our favor. We're doing a favor to basically giving you guys the opportunity to learn the basics, so we can, when we start writing some code using Selenium and write automation, things will definitely make a lot more sense and it'll be more enjoyable. The other thing is that if you enjoyed automating from the last class, if you enjoyed on how to write your automated test using Selenium IDE, then you're going to enjoy a lot more with Selenium WebDriver when we go into WebDriver. And next class, we're going to go into WebDriver, and we're going to talk a little bit about RC, and we're going to talk about how to set up your, we're going to do a basic framework setup. So we're going to create a framework from scratch. And after that, we're going to write some automated tests using that framework. And then the following class, we're going to write a bit more complicated framework. And then from that point, we're going to just write automated tests using that framework. And we're going to just build on top of that framework. By end of the entire course, you should have a lot of tests into your own framework. And then we're going to start pushing code in GitHub and so on, right? So things are going to get more and more and more complicated. So if you don't want to stress yourself up, then just do things the way that we're giving you guys. We do have plans. It's just that, one thing at a time, we're taking it easy to make sure that majority of you guys are on the same page. All right, so let's finish this and see whether we can see percentage. Percentage should be there. So it says Java, put it together. So this is your summary. So at the end of each section of this course, you're going to see a summary where they give you a small test for you to do. Okay. And after that, you can only move on, right? So when you start this from the beginning, just do it right? Don't, say, what, the first few thing I did it in the class, I'm going to just go ahead and click and go through, because then you're going to get stuck at some point, and then you're going to, you will probably not be able to complete this to 100%, right? I don't expect everybody to finish in 100%. I'm going to give you guys my expectation, what I think that you guys should finish. And after we finish this. So first of all, what have we learned? Java programming, at least how the main method works, how everything needs to be inside of main. Each class is represented in one real world idea, right? So each class will have real world ideas with different objects if there is within, and then the main method runs the task of the program. So in Java, if nothing is inside of main, then it will not run. Java comments are helpful to the context, to the human reader, right? It has nothing, it has no use for the computer, right? Or the machine. They don't care if you're writing your comment or not, right? But this is for human, your coworkers. And then you have white spaces, curly braces, and semicolon, right? White spaces, we use it to make sure that our code looks presentable and it looks easier to read, okay? It just makes it easier for a human to follow through the code and read line by line. And then curly braces is basically like, think about like container. You have a beginning and you have ending. So it's a scope meaning, again, like if you think about it, think about like a container, right? If everything is in the same bucket, the bucket basically has ending and beginning. So it starts with curly brace and then it ends with curly brace, similar to parentheses and yeah. Then we have Semicolons is to say, okay, you know what, I'm done with my statement. So every Java program that you write, every line that you write, you're done with that specific statement. And lastly, Java is a compiled language. Compiling catches mistakes in our code. So if there's anything at all, then the entire thing doesn't compile. Transform code.
Well,
Mhm.
every line is a statement, or like, I'm sorry, I've just confusing between strings and statements.
Right. So you're saying string and statement confusion. String is a data type, and you're basically anything in between is a string. Okay. So you see anything that you write here, anything at all, this is a string. Okay. Or space or white space, doesn't matter. Still a string that contains this many white spaces with this many characters. Okay. Now you saying end of statement. When you make a statement in Java, you're saying, okay, I want to do this. For example, you want to create a variable. So string, I want to create string variable name is equal to, let's say, Java, for example, right? This is a statement. What am I missing in the statement?
Semicolon.
Right.
bracket.
That's it. This is where I want to say, okay, I only named, I have a variable that has a name, and then I said the name is equal to Java. Now I will have second statement. I want to do something else, right? Now I cannot just say, okay, now I want to create an integer int, I think lowercase or something. Yeah, lowercase int, and then you want to say age is equal to, like, let's say 50 here, right? And then do your semicolon. What's going to happen here is that now you got this statement here. You're assigning a value. Equal is for assignment, right? Equal is for assignment. So you're assigning a value, and then you're saying I want to assign another value, but it doesn't have ending, right? So that's where it's going to be the problem. Now, if you want to do the same thing, you can say you want to compare. So if, let's say, age, so it's let's just say it's 10 if 12 is more than 10, right? Then something, right? This is your curly brace, start and end. This is your scoping. So you're saying if this is true, only then run everything inside of this too. Okay, that's what you're saying. So you're gonna say so I'm just gonna print something, and I'm just gonna say true. Oh. Okay, and now I have a few questions here. I have one thing, if this is gonna be true or false, and why am I not putting double quotation on this, and why, and what else am I missing here?
A semicolon is missing, and also true is supposed to be inside the quotation, double quotation, the double.
So you're saying double quotation, and then what is the evaluation of this? What will be evaluated?
Oh, you have like the if statement, but not the other part of the statement, I guess.
No, this is a correct valid statement. It will still, execute. But I'm saying
I think
inside
true
of
is
this,
Boolean condition. That's why not quotation in the true. Inside the
right. So this is a Boolean, right? So when we use if and else can be used with Boolean, right? So now here we are saying that 12 is more than 10. Is that a true or false?
No, it's true.
It's true, right? So now with our eyes, we're saying 12 and 10 here, but then it's actually the program is going to see this is as true. Therefore, this is going to run. And now the last question was, why am I not putting casing? Why am I not putting like double quotation around true? Is because true is still a Boolean. Okay, it doesn't need quotation. This is still a Boolean. It knows what true means. Okay, so I don't have to put true. I don't have to put quotation. But if I want to put something other than that, then I can say, like, I can put that quotation. If I want to put something else, like, for example, the statement is, right, and I want to say something like true, yeah, that's fine, right? So it's going to print out the whole thing saying the statement is true. I don't know if it's going to run because this is expecting something else. Yeah, like I said, it's not going to run. but that's, oh yeah, it doesn't have main method and everything. So, but as you can see that you can have a Boolean true or false without the quotation, okay? Because it's already defined. All right, so let's go back to our summary. We're summarizing this section of the lesson, right? So the first thing it says in the text editor, right, holds an empty file review.java. Fill it in, define public class name review. So, oops, public class review. Why am I not, do I need to put review.java? And as you can see, the class started. So I'm going to go ahead and put some spaces in between. And I'm going to go ahead and run. And let's see if this is happy. So this is good, right? The next thing it says I need to create a main classes. So who remembers what is main? How does the main looks like? I'm going to start typing and you tell me. Public.
What?
Static.
Static.
Void main.
Void
Main. Within main is
string thought bracket and arg args.
RGS.
Argument.
And now that's it. So this is inside of the main method. Okay. So that was created. Once that is done, number 2 is satisfied. Number 3, we're moving into number 3. Inside of the curly braces, the main method, write the main method method executes the text of the class as a single line comment. So first thing first, we write a single line. Who wants to tell me what single line comments looks like?
Start
Double
with the
slash.
double slash.
Right? So this is a single line comment, right?
Yes.
All right, so then we got below is the comment, write the statement to print the following, blah, blah, blah. So we have to print something. We have to print this statement. Now this statement is actually is a string, right? It's a long string. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to say what? How am I going to print this?
System.out.println.
System.out.println, right? So ln is for new line. Let's see if this is exactly what they wanted. I think I'm missing something here. What am I missing, guys? Anything that you see missing or everything looks good?
Semicolon.
Semicolon.
Good, good. Because you see semicolon, you're gonna write your 20 lines of code and then you're gonna scratch your head and then you'll realize you missed a semicolon. Okay. All right, and then we just finished, right, with the 4. I think, is it all done? What? Okay, I was expecting a little bit more. Okay, so now we're gonna just again continue. Don't pay for it, right? Because this thing will continue to give you the free portion of it. And let's see, so blah blah. Okay, that's good. Run and then continue. Start next lesson. So don't click on try it for free. But you know, if you do try it for free and you put your credit card information, make sure you go ahead and remove that before they charge you. But we don't really necessarily need you to do this, right? All you got to do is click next lesson and it'll continue, right? It'll just continue giving you. We are only asking you to do the light version because we're gonna advanced part will go from our side. This is just to give you guys some self-learning situation. So as you can see, we got 6%. So the expectation from all of you guys is that when you come to Codecademy, again, I'm going to show you guys one more time to make sure that you guys are able to do this homework. Somebody did it, the entire thing did it in 2 days, and that is with them working also. They're working like 8 hours or something. So it shouldn't be taking you guys more than 2 or 3 days. Dedicate more time is because, again, 3 months, that's the only thing we're asking, right? 3 months, be serious and give to yourself, right? Learn and give to yourself because this will help you and help us to help you with the job, okay? So now if you go into this and you got your syllabus, right? This is up to this much, I believe, is free. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see which ones are free. It doesn't show. So introduction, blah, blah, variables. Oh, they changed it. God damn. Okay. Let's see up to how many you can. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. So every okay. So here you got variables, then you got conditional statements. Is basically you're not going into deep, right? You're not going directly into deepers. So at least the first lessons of the introduction of every single topic that you're getting to get done, right? So as you can see, introduction of everything, right? Introduction of everything. Like you see loop, the first lesson of everything. You're not doing the quiz, you're not doing the project, you're just getting what you need to do. But if anybody is trying it for free and want to do everything, more than welcome, but we're not responsible for you getting charged by this company. Okay. This is just where we're just using this platform to easily get your mind straight before we go into IntelliJ, before we start writing code that will be a bit more complex. I'm thinking probably creating like TikTok games or some sort of 2D or 3D games to make sure that everybody is up to speed with Java in the beginning. And then we're gonna go ahead and start writing our automated tests. But if you okay, so that's one that is my homework. I want to make sure that you guys see some percentage of this course. It should say 6%. I don't know what's happening here. Oh, I'm not logged in or something. Oh, let me see. What profile? Okay. My courses. Okay, my. So if I go back here, it should show the 6%. Somehow I got to reset it. Resume. Let's see. It's probably going to. Oh, there you go. Okay, it didn't reset it. So this is where I want to see you guys. This is what I want to see to make sure that you guys at least reach to, at a minimum, bare minimum, I want to see 80%. Okay. For the next class. And the next class, we're going to do two things depending on how well you are. I'm going to do a small pop quiz in the beginning to see, and this time around, I'm going to ask names. I'm going to call names to see if you're able to answer things that you just learned from this course. Okay. Forget about everything else that I'm talking about, W3 or, so if you guys go into W3, Java and Java tutorial, this is actually being used by developers that are actually working because they use this as a reference, and it's a pretty good site. Everything is right to your, right to your face, but it doesn't give us like some sort of confirmation on what you have done, right? And also, if you try it, right, you can execute things that are here, but it's like, it's not really as good as the other one where you actually get to learn the code and what it is on the same window. So go ahead and do up to 80%. That's my homework. And then if you send me a screenshot, that's great. And if you can finish like 100%, that's even awesome. But if you can do up to 80%, that's the target at this point. And when I start the next class next Sunday, I'm going to ask, instead of doing stand up, I'm going to ask one person at a time, one question. That's it from the lessons. So what I'm going to do is go into
all of the lessons included will be like 80%, right?
Yeah, that should be like, if you, okay, so it should give you percentage, right? Because for the, okay, so for example, the first one that we finished, it gives us like 6%, and then you move on to the next one. And then there are free ones, right? So continue with the free version and you'll be able to reach to that point. And then at the end, when you finish that 80 or 70 or 90%, it will give you option to continue to the advance for more money, right? So at that point you can stop. So I'm just giving you guys 80%, but now if you, let's say you come back to your course progress and syllabus and you finish like all of the ones that doesn't say pro, then we're good, right? If it doesn't say 80%, just let me know, because it should to definitely go up to like 100% with the ones that doesn't have pro, right? So this definitely is a tool to help people that are, program is something that they're doing for the first time, right? Haven't seen program, haven't seen how code runs, or really never did coding ever, right? And there are a few people that will enjoy and finish maybe like the same day. And you know, these guys, trust me, we know who you are and we recognize, and trust me, things are coming. If we do see something is opened up and we feel that somebody is, you know, confident enough and we want to help them get a job, then we will probably place you first. So, you know, just keep up the good work. If you don't have to slow yourself down if you feel like others are slow, but you know, just keep in mind, we have to follow this. We have to basically to make sure that people are learning the basics. There are a lot of people here that don't know the basics, right? So we want to move as a team, but at the same time, we know who there are a few people here that actually knows Java, or at least learned before this class. And we will make sure that you guys shine, right? In the future, you'll probably even shine better. So, and that will help us to determine who's going first, right? Who's gonna be out there first. We do not place everybody in the market in the same day or everybody at the same time, because that'll be harder for us to handle. We're only two. So what we do is we do one person at a time per week, and that gives us a lot of opportunity to help that person to make sure that he's doing the right things with his resume, how he presents himself, and how he sets up the interviews, or even like helping with the interviews. So so that's the way we do it. But again, like we do put like people like maybe if a lot of people are ready, then we'll think about how we're going to do it as a batch. All right, is there any questions? We have like 6 minutes. Is there any question around this? This is definitely going to be fun exercise for you guys. And also it will help us determine who finishes up to 80%, and at least it will give us some comfort to move forward with the advanced, or at least with the Selenium, which is the main reason why we've been doing Java. Okay. Any questions, anyone? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording first, and then you guys can ask me the questions, and then let me just go ahead. So that way the